You're listening to the Psychedelic Couch. Before we delve into today's episode, which includes conversation around psychedelics, we want to remind our listeners that the use of illicit drugs carries significant risks and legal consequences. Psychedelic substances, including but not limited to LSD, psilocybin, DMT, and MDMA, are classified as illegal in many countries, including here in the UK. The possession, distribution, and consumption of these substances can result in legal penalties, including fines and imprisonment. Furthermore, the use of psychedelics can have profound effects on one's mental and physical health. While some individuals report positive experiences, such as expanded consciousness and therapeutic benefits, others may experience negative effects, such as anxiety, paranoia, and psychosis. These substances can also interact unpredictably with medications and exacerbate underlying mental health conditions. They are also not suitable for anyone under the age of 25. It's essential to approach the topic of psychedelics with caution and responsibility. The views and experiences shared in this podcast are for informational purposes only and should not be interpreted as encouragement or advocacy for the use of illegal substances. If you or someone you know is struggling with substance abuse, we encourage you to seek support from qualified healthcare professionals or local addiction support services. With that said, let's proceed with today's episode, keeping in mind the importance of informed discussion and harm reduction. So good morning, Priscilla. Welcome. So great to have you on the podcast. I thought I would read a little bit about you so our listeners can really understand your background. Priscilla Knip is a psychedelic facilitator and integration coach based in The Hague in the Netherlands. Over the past decade, she has taught Kundalini, Yin, and restorative yoga, as well as running meditation workshops. She also facilitates breathwork sessions and pranic healing. During her 20s, she began exploring psychedelics and various types of plant medicines. These experiences, along with her meditation practice, increased her awareness, allowing her to process unresolved emotions and somatically stored trauma. She was able to navigate new dimensions that felt both familiar and profound, experiencing unconditional love and recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings and nature. She is deeply passionate about sharing the transformative aspects of her journey with others, enabling her to hold a secure, safe, and loving space for those she works with. Welcome, Priscilla.
Thank you, Claire. So nice to be here with you.
I mean, you've got such a wonderful, rich background. I wondered if you could start by telling us about your journey into the world of expanded states.
Yeah, it has been a process. It still is, but I think already as a child, I could really feel this expanded state. And then when I got a little bit older, it is as if it disappeared a little bit under the carpet, because I just wanted to fit in, to live the normal life, just as everybody in my surroundings did. But then when I got pregnant with my oldest son, all these expanded states of consciousness and the intuitive knowing, it all like opened up again during this pregnancy. So that was it really felt as an initiation. And then after his birth, I started exploring it more deeper. And I have already been on the path of yoga, but I dove a little bit deeper also with plant medicine. And yeah, it has been an extraordinary journey so far, and it still is evolving and continuing.
Amazing. And I'm so curious that you were interested in that connection with soul and spirit from such a young age.
Yeah.
Because something I hear more about that there's a knowing, even as a young child, that there's something beyond us. Can you tell us more about that?
I think as a child, we are very much more open to all these energies and layers, and we can see them more clearly. But then, all these patterns arrive. Maybe we experience trauma, like bigger or smaller ones, and then our system just closes off for protection.
Yeah, and there's something also about the systems that we start to fall into, right? Going to school or, studying, going into the real world, that almost breaks that connection.
Exactly. I think it would have been great if a school teaches kids to be just aware of their bodies, their breathing, their energy. It would make such a difference. I know that some schools are already doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. And whilst there is a movement towards this now, really noticing that disconnection with teaching about emotions. There's so much on the curriculum about academia, much less about that intuitive knowing. Really
Really,
taking a moment just to notice what's happening in one's body. What am I feeling somatically? What's going on emotionally? And that it's innate in all of us, which is interesting.
it is in all of us. And I also think that the intuitive knowing starts by being able to feel your own feelings and emotions.
And I'm always so struck in my practice how challenging that is for adults. Especially working with sex and relationships, sort of knowing what's happening in your body, or that disconnection between mind and body, and knowing what emotional response one might be experiencing in that moment. It's a real challenge. It's almost the work in adult therapy is about reconnecting to that knowing.
It is, yeah, it is a work in progress, but there are some really beautiful practices that we can do to really be more in our body and to experience what is alive in there.
Mm. I was really hoping you could tell us more about that this morning. So tell us about your journey with yoga and really specifically Kundalini, which I'm so interested in.
Yeah, Kundalini yoga, that has a really special place in my life. I started my teacher training in 2012, 2013, and then I have been teaching since then. And yeah, it has been a journey of opening me up. So many things have happened. It's truly a journey of awakening and of remembrance. Because with yeah, maybe it's nice to that I explain a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping you, for people that don't know much about Kundalini, how does it differ from a normal hatha yoga, which people are probably more familiar with?
Yeah. So with Kundalini yoga, for me, it feels like a very complete system of yoga, because we work with the body, we work with the breath, we work with mantras, with sounds. What we do with Kundalini yoga is we balance our bodies, and we also prepare our bodies to safely awaken the flow of the Kundalini energy in our bodies. And the Kundalini energy is a dormant energy, and it lies at the base of our spine. And it is really the primal force, the primal energy of which we all consist.
Mm. I'm curious, why do you think, and I'm only referencing this from my experience when I started Kundalini and my teacher training, almost the general public's response that there seems to be fear around it. I'm just curious what your thoughts are around that.
The fear is because people have heard about spontaneous Kundalini awakenings.
Well,
This can happen, not with the practice of Kundalini yoga. I have never seen it in all of the years, also not with other teachers. But spontaneous Kundalini yoga sometimes can happen, and then the body is not prepared for it. So the danger is here that there is like a very high vibration of energy rushing through the body, but the physical system is not prepared for it. Then it can be dangerous. But with the practice of Kundalini yoga, we make sure that the body is safely prepared for the rise of the Kundalini energy, and it goes in a very slow way, and it doesn't happen if the body is not prepared for it. So it goes actually two ways.
And can the practice of Kundalini be very grounding for people that are experiencing a Kundalini awakening, maybe in other contexts that are outside
Yeah.
the practice of Kundalini? Tell us more about the grounding nature and how it can be so powerful when people are experiencing awakenings.
It's a very grounding practice, because we work with the body and we work with the breathing, which really grounds us into our system and makes a connection back to the soul, to the earth.
So allowing almost the soul to become known.
Exactly, or remembered, because we already know the soul.
Mm. And what inspired you to teach?
Actually, this I never had the I didn't do the course because I want the training because I wanted to be a teacher. I did it because I wanted to know everything about it. I was so fascinated by it, and for me, it resonated as such a truth that I really wanted to learn every bit about it. So I was very motivated and passionate. And then I did my own classes in The Hague with a teacher. And then at one point she said, like, yeah, I'm going for pregnancy leave, and would you like to take over my classes? And I said, no, I didn't finish my training yet. I don't know if I want to teach, and I don't know if I want to be in front of a group, because I think I can be quite shy and introverted from my nature. But then she actually really just insisted.
So the universe cooled.
Yeah. And then I did it. I just did it. And it was like, I think my first 10 or maybe 20 classes were like really terrifying. I was so nervous. I was like shaking, and my voice like cracked in the opening mantra. It was horrible, but I did it from my heart, and I got really sweet feedback from the participants. So this is how it started. It was not a really smooth ride, actually, but afterwards it felt really good. So I had a bit of a blockages before I had to teach, but then afterwards I always felt so energized, and my heart was open, and it really felt like, yeah, this is my path. I really have to do it, although it is a bit uncomfortable for me.
And tell me, how important is music for you in that, within the classes, within the practice?
Yeah, I make use of music, of mantra, but only when I feel that it's really an addition to the energy in space. So I always combine it with silence, because or with stillness, because I feel if you have a right balance between sound and stillness, then you can go even deeper into the experience. So the mantras in Kundalini, it's not only the sound current and the meaning, but they are also written in this language, in Gurmukhi, which is a very ancient language from India. And what it does is, when you make the sounds with your mouth, with your tongue, you touch the upper palate, which is connected to certain meridian points, and then the glands in your brain start to secrete hormones where you feel like happy, relaxed, and you go really in your parasympathetic state. So for me, it feels like magic. Like we have this whole like factory of glands and hormones, and we can set that on by chanting a mantra.
Mm. I wondered if maybe you could share one of your favorite passages. I mean, you're referring to the Japji there. So could you maybe share one of your favorite passages?
Yeah, definitely. So every morning I read the Japji, which is actually a channeled text from about 500 years ago, channeled by Guru Nanak. And in this text, which consists of 38 verses, he actually describes the path to awakening. Yeah, it's also called the Song of the Soul. So it really helps to awaken you on your path. And I recitate it every morning. It's like a meditation, and it takes about 20 minutes to recitate the whole scripture. I can read the first Mool mantra. It's really beautiful, because this root mantra actually gives a summary of the whole Japji, and it's about remembering our true nature of oneness and purity. Okay, so I can read the text, and then I'll also give you the translation.
Thank you.
So this is the Mool mantra. Ek Onkar, there is one creator, oneness. Satnam, truth is my name. Karta Purk, the doer, creator of everything, the architect of existence. Nirbhau, without fear. Nirvair, without vengeance. Akalmurit, immortal. Ajuni, infinite. Sebang, self-illuminated, full of life. Gurprasad, this knowing is a blessing or a gift. Jap, meditate. Ad Sach, Jugad Sach, true in the beginning, true throughout all ages. Helbi Sach, true in the here and now. Nanak Rosi be Sach, forever true.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So as Kundalini gains popularity, what do you see as its potential contribution to individual and collective healing?
Yeah, so it really helps us to connect to ourselves,
Yeah.
to our bodies, but also it really connects us to this higher wisdom. Because I believe that we all have our own like guide or inner wisdom within us. So Kundalini yoga really helps us to attune to this higher wisdom, and also by like opening up our intuition and strengthening our nervous system, so that if we have a strong nervous system, then we can handle life. We can handle everything that comes in our way, like all the stresses, everything that happens in this world. We can handle it much more better because we feel strong from the inside.
And are there specific techniques from the practice that you would really recommend to people or to listeners if they're new to Kundalini and they wanted to experience it? What would you suggest?
Yeah, I would suggest that it's really nice to, in the beginning, if you're completely new to this, to find a teacher who can explain you the process. Yeah, and then just to start actually with the daily practice, to do one kriya each day. Like a kriya is a series of exercises which has a certain outcome. And in Kundalini yoga, we have a lot of kriyas for every like organ or emotion or whatever you would like to work on, chakra or body. So I would really suggest to pick one kriya that resonates, and maybe one meditation, and do that every morning for 40 days. Yeah.
And ideally before the sun comes up.
Ideally before the sun comes up, and ideally, so in the ambrosial hours where the energy is the highest, where you are really, because in the mornings really have this essence of stillness before everyone wakes up. Still a little bit dark outside, so this is a beautiful moment to practice. And if you really want to do it even better, then you take a cold shower before it.
And body brush if you can. Body brush, cold shower.
Body brush. Yeah.
A busy 5 a.m. start.
Exactly. So this is also written in the Japji. There is also a part of doing the Ishnan, which is a cold shower.
I was fortunate enough to go last year to a Joe Dispenza retreat. And towards the end of the week, he had us all up starting meditation at 4. That's when the pineal gland is most active. And it was incredible that we did a almost 5-hour meditation. And It really didn't feel that long. And there was something magical, I think, about starting at that time.
It's really, I also feel so passionate about like this old ancient yogic wisdom, where it's even like written in the Japji to meditate before sunrise, and that it's now like being almost scientifically proven.
Absolutely. I mean, at this retreat, it was incredible. They had researchers from the University of California, San Diego, doing blood tests, brain scans of some of the meditators, and showing that at the end of a 7-day retreat, even novice meditators had completely changed their brains, upregulating, downregulating genes, proteins. And like you referenced earlier, that we are a pharmacy. We can initiate so much healing and opioid response that no other drug, to be able to do all of these different things, no other drug offers that. But we are the pharmacy. It's unlocking that potential.
Yeah, that's amazing, right? Like our body has so much healing potential.
And tell us more about, the healing in plants, in plant medicines. Tell us about how that part of your journey started.
Yeah, this is also feels like a magical story, but with the healing with plants, so I've been working with a lot of different plant medicines and psychedelics. So my first experience with plant medicine was such a complete spiritual experience. I experienced all the multidimensional structure, and I came into this space of like infinite oneness and divine love. And it was really mind-blowing. And after that, my whole vision of the world changed. But then I had to integrate it. That was a challenge, because I had seen so many things. So in the beginning, I didn't really know how to integrate it. But then when I got onto the spiritual path of Kundalini yoga. So this like meditation really helped me to integrate these experiences. And I believe that that it's really important to do them together, because the plant medicine or the psychedelics, they open certain doors, and they show you things, but then to work further with it, yeah, we have to do something with it. Otherwise, it has just been an experience.
Absolutely. And I so see how the intersection of these two modalities work so well together. And that grounding, as you say, daily practice of the Kundalini helps to really integrate the psychedelic experiences, which one would only have maybe a few times a year. It's not something that you're going to be doing very regularly, but having the experience and then using that wisdom, what comes from that wisdom, to integrate through therapy, through using Kundalini, different practices. It's such a grounding process that holds that plant experience.
Exactly. So with each plant experience, you peel off a layer, because every journey is different, and in each journey, you always get the journey that you need in that moment. Not always what you want, but definitely what you need.
Mm.
And you slowly peel off all the layers, and then to really also deepen that, and to also hold space for it. This practice to turning within, to go into stillness, into silence, walking into nature is really important.
And I suspect it really helps you as a facilitator as well, not just on your own journeys, but to be able to hold the space for other people.
Yes, of course, I have to practice what I preach,
Uh,
yeah, and also to be able to hold space in these ceremonies.
can you tell us a little bit more about that? You know, your experience of holding space, what that journey is like.
So this also started very naturally. I never had this plan in mind to hold space in ceremony, but it started very naturally, where just friends asked to be with them when they were on psychedelics or on plant medicine, and then that evolved. And then I came into contact with Essence Institute, where I also work for. Yeah, they asked me to be facilitating there, and there I combine also Kundalini yoga with breath work, and then we have beautiful 3-day retreats, and it's amazing the transformation that we see every time in each retreat. People completely change. Like they come in a certain state, and then they go out. They even look differently. So their eyes glow. They are completely transformed in just 3 days.
And do they tend to come back? Will they come back to you a few months later? Or what is the journey like
And
with?
they tend to come back. Usually we advise to wait 6 months to 1 year to do an experience again, because there is time needed to process everything that happens for integration, and integration takes time. I also do one-on-one work, so one-on-one private ceremonies.
And do you find people adhere to that, or is there a tendency for people to want to chase ceremonies and have multiple experiences without doing the integration?
Definitely, yeah. Some people, sometimes even after the journey, they say like, "Oh, I want to do this again. Can I come next week?" Or and then yeah, it's a really fine line, and then they have to really feel into themselves like, is this an escape? Because plant medicine, what I also see is that some people use it as an escape, because they come into this beautiful world now with all those colors, and for some people it's really hard to be like here on earth. They have a hard time, but they have beautiful ceremonies, so it's really easy for them to go into these other worlds.
And is that what you would call spiritual bypassing?
Yes.
So could
Yeah.
you tell us, the listeners might not know about that. Perhaps you could explain a little bit more about spiritual bypassing.
So spiritual bypassing is when people use spirituality or ceremonies, or even going from workshop to workshop, always seeking, but also maybe sometimes taking on this code of being spiritual, as a cover to not having to feel their feelings. it's actually a protection mechanism. It can be a protection mechanism from the system.
To not go into feeling the pain, or not go into feeling the pain of being in the system, of being in,
Yeah,
or both. Yeah.
both.
And for people that were new to psychedelics and wanted to explore, what would your advice be in terms of finding a facilitator, finding a retreat? What would...
Yeah, so really trust your own inner guidance on this and really feel into it. Maybe first I had to do a video call to see how it feels with the facilitator or with the like the retreat facilitators.
And of course, psychedelics aren't for everyone, and there is a stringent process that one needs to go through and to consider if this is the right thing for them to explore. So really ensuring that they're doing that within a safe context. Tell us more about how you navigate the legal landscape. Of course, I know in the Netherlands it's different to here in the UK, but can you tell us a little bit more about that from your experience?
Yeah, so in the Netherlands, it is legal to work with the truffles. So that's also what I work with, and then I make a tea out of it, and then it's legal. But it works like this: is that the people, they have to open their package themselves. They have to, partially like prepare it themselves, and then we can give them the tea.
And when you say truffles, you mean psilocybin truffles, is that right?
Truffles.
And how are truffles different to mushrooms? Lots of people will think of magic mushrooms.
Yeah. So actually, the magic truffles are the fruiting body of the magic mushroom. So they grow under the ground, but they contain the same psychoactive substances as the magic mushroom, but it's more equally divided in the whole part.
So the mushrooms themselves aren't legal in the Netherlands, but the truffles are.
Yeah, which is actually strange, but yeah, this is how it is here.
And what about any other psychedelics in the Netherlands?
No, the other psychedelics are not legal, but there you can buy the mushroom kits. So it is legal to grow them, but it's not legal to prepare or consume them.
Right. As psychedelic-assisted therapy gains recognition and acceptance, what do you see as being the obstacles or challenges in the field?
Yeah, I think to be able to work with these substances, for me, I feel it's really important that the therapist knows what it is and has like a lot of experience with journeying themselves. Because only if you know the whole landscape, then I feel that you can support people in this.
So there's something about needing to do your own work, go on the journey yourself,
Exactly.
Take that exploration.
Yeah, and also, I really believe in practice what you preach, and also I really believe in that you can only guide people where you have been there yourself.
And what about the biggest opportunities, do you think, with these medicines?
Yeah, they have like great healing potential. Like all the healing is in the body, but they have great potential to show people how it is working, how to work with their inner teacher, how to work more with their intuition, to be in tune with their emotions, just to see a bigger perspective on life, a bigger perspective on what is really important in life.
And the impact of that then being able to help people with addictions, with chronic pain, with end-of-life care, with depression. Excitingly, today I read in the Times newspaper that the work Imperial around sex and relationships, the sexual function improving, and knowing that the use of psychedelics, LSD, psilocybin, really improves sexual function over a 6-month period, which is really exciting for the work that I do with individuals and couples.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I can imagine that it opens so much in the body, like everything, also blockages, because our chakras can get blocked by experiences or by maybe traumatic experiences. And if this trauma is looked at and it can be like feel again in the body, and the body opens up, then everything starts flowing again.
And can you tell us more about challenges that people might have with spiritual emergency? Well, whilst they're on the journey, what are the difficulties or the challenges that people can experience?
So people can experience like a sensory overload sometimes. Sometimes they get so much input that it actually feels like too much, or sometimes like a difficult memory appears, and or sometimes a lot of emotions. Some people can feel really also sick in their bodies. Actually, the key to navigate this is to allow everything, and to even maybe welcome everything that is there to be felt. Often people get a hard journey when they go into resistance, when they don't like the feeling, when they say, I'm done with it, I want to get out of it, because then they go into resistance, and then it becomes even more difficult, or even harder. So that's also important to, before you go into these journeys, to really know how you can navigate this by working with the breath, working with the body. You're listening to the music. There are different techniques.
And such a beautiful reflection of life, right? When we struggle with what is, when we fight against it, against the reality, that's when the biggest challenge comes, right? It's the difference that we hold between our current reality and the place that we seek to be. That's where the pain and the challenge is. But as you say, in the journey itself, welcoming, leaning into, just allowing that to come without resistance means that it passes quicker, just as it does in 3D reality.
Yeah, it does. I also always say that whole life is actually a ceremony. At least to me, it feels that way. And also through the hard times in my psychedelic journeys, I I can navigate life better. And even if very difficult moments appear, I know how to navigate them, because that is what I actually practiced in my psychedelic journeys.
Being able to connect to the breath, or just go inwards.
Or going to the body, don't resist it, allowing everything that is there to feel. And actually, when a difficult feeling appears, just let it flow through my system, and it takes 90 seconds for it to subside again. So it comes up and it reaches a peak, and then it goes down again. And this is only 90 seconds. And if you can really be aware of this, and can be really present with it, then it also doesn't get stuck inside the body.
Such an important lesson. So many people I've worked with have this chase around happiness, wanting to be happy. That happiness in the media maybe has reflected that's the goal. If I'm happy, then all is well. But acknowledging that happiness is simply an emotion, like all of the others. You're just allowing it to come, allowing it to go. This too shall pass.
Exactly.
There's a trap, right? Or there's the happiness trap.
Yeah.
Just acknowledging that this is just an experience. It's all it is.
It is a trap. If you go constantly from workshop to workshop, from ceremony to ceremony, then you also give the message to yourself. I need to heal myself. I'm not whole yet. I have to do this. So this is a whole different energy. And then we keep chasing it, and then we will never find it. Because in essence, we are already whole. Because we are just these pure energetic beings having an earthly experience.
Yeah, coming here to have our journey, to experience whatever it is that our soul needs from this.
Yeah, but
this
in
journey.
essence, our soul is already complete. We don't need to. There is nothing to fix there.
I love in Kundalini this idea that we're so governed by the ego. The ego runs everything, but through the Kundalini practice, it's reminding the ego that it works for the soul, almost taming it, just keeping it back on the mat, just reminding it that it's there to serve the soul, not run the show, which unfortunately is the reality for most of us, right?
Yeah. So the ego is the servant.
And again, if people are starting out exploring the world of psychedelics, would you recommend finding a facilitator to work with one-to-one? Would you recommend group work? And again, how best, there's so many people out there. What research can people do to really find the right fit for them?
Yeah, it differs from person to person. I think if you have a lot of trauma maybe in your system, and if you are maybe in a little bit of a more vulnerable space in your life, then I would really suggest a one-to-one ceremony where the facilitator has all the time and attention just for you. Usually people also can go a little bit deeper in a one-on-one ceremony because there is no other distraction. On the other hand, I really love group ceremonies because the group process brings also certain aspects, because when groups come together, they usually have this same theme. It's really amazing how it works in groups. It's never a coincidence that you are in this group. So this can also be a beautiful experience, and then also to connect with other participants, to be able to process. So then you also have this energy of community, which I also believe is really important in these times, especially on the path of awakening that can feel really lonely and sometimes isolated.
Yeah, as you start to peel away from the community from which you've come, or noticing that the people that you were friends with no longer fit, or that you're becoming different, you're changing. So having that support, that network, that community around you is so key.
Yeah, it's really key with like-minded people.
And can you tell us more about the importance of doing the preparation work and the integration work afterwards?
Yeah, so it's really good to have a solid preparation. So maybe already to change things in your diet, to start a little bit more journaling, to be really to have your motivation clear, and to really go more within. I think this is a really good preparation. And I think the journey always already starts when you plan to do it. So it's not only the journey itself, it's also the whole process before. And then of course the integration, because if you don't integrate it, it was just an experience in your life.
And as you say, the working, the having the experience in community in a group setting, the power of the group therapy afterwards can be so healing and revealing, because, as you work in those groups, seeing other people's experiences mirrored back to you and how that also connects, there can be such a reflective dual process that happens in community.
Definitely. And also still for me, like listening to the group sharings. So I always resonate with each person that shares something. And then, and then I also notice that we actually all struggle with more or less of the same themes or issues. And of course it shows up differently for everyone. But then I feel so much compassion and actually love for people and for life.
And in terms of society's healing, how important do you think these tools are? What's your vision, the spiritual growth of our
Very,
world and our
very
society?
important. I feel this can bring a change from the inside out. More people become more conscious and more aware, and they open their hearts, and they become more compassionate. And this can change the whole system.
So what's been the biggest lesson for you on this journey that you wish, if everyone could learn this at some point in their life, what would you say that lesson's been?
That all the wisdom and all the answers and all the knowledge and everything is already within.
As you say that, I get goosebumps all over me.
It is all within us. And in order to be able to because our body is constantly, and our soul is constantly talking to us. But in order to be able to hear these messages, we need to spend moments in silence, in stillness. Otherwise we miss out on it. This is where daily practice really comes in place.
Absolutely. So it's in the slowing down, the disconnection from the material world, and really noticing or really becoming aware that we have everything in here and it's not outside. It can't be found in the fast cars. They can be fun, but it's not in the stuff of the material.
Yeah, and again, also the material, also the outside is a reflection of your inside.
Yeah, tell the listeners more about that.
Yeah, so our thoughts and our beliefs actually create how we see the world, and then that gets reflected to us.
So that you are your thoughts, your personality becomes your personal reality.
Exactly. Yeah.
And how important it is to keep that garden clean, neat, because so quickly the weeds set in, and we expect our reality to be any different.
Yes, because our thoughts create our actions. So it is really important to be mindful of thoughts.
Joe Dispenza talks about that by the time we're around 30, over 90% of our thoughts are the same every day. So how can we wake up and expect anything to be different when we are doing the same thing? We have to change our thoughts. We have to spend time getting into a different place if we want to experience a different reality.
So meditation.
Yeah, meditation. Tell me, who has been your most important mentor and why on this journey?
I've had, on each stage in my life, I've had different mentors, which mostly were my teachers. I think my first mentor was my yoga teacher with this like really motherly energy, and she passed away already, but I still feel her very close to me in every step that I take in life. And then, of course, there is my Kundalini yoga teacher, who also like challenged me very much. So he was like really, really to the point, and he showed me a lot of things as well. Then I have my pranic healer teacher. So they all showed me stuff, but actually the biggest teacher was myself, and also the plant medicines.
Can you tell us a bit about the climate that you grew up in? How has that impacted the journey?
Yeah, so it was not a really easy environment. I also felt really alone in the journey because I was this child with all these feelings, and I think I already was very spiritual. But in the household where I grew up in, there was no space for that. So that also felt like a quite of a lonely journey. So this was also, so this family system was also a big teacher for me. Because it really showed me, the way. Because if I haven't grown up in such a family dynamic, then maybe my path would have been completely different.
So what's next on your journey?
Yeah, so what's next on my journey? I would really love to work more with women in women's groups, where we work on self-love, limiting beliefs, how we can really nurture our systems from within. So that is something I'm working on.
Yeah, I asked you a little bit about this before, but maybe specifically, with the use of expanded states, what really excites you and what scares you about the journey ahead of us?
Do you mean for me personally, or in the collective, or
in the collective, but both?
Yeah,
sharing your wisdom on both.
So in the collective, it's what you also said. I think plant medicine and psychedelics are not for everyone, and because sometimes it also can trigger certain aspects, or it's, I don't believe it's for anyone. So it's really good to use it like carefully with an experienced practitioner, facilitator, or therapist. So it's not for everyone, but if you really feel from the inside a clear yes, it can be a beautiful, beautiful journey of expansion.
And is there any particular material that you would suggest people reading? Any books or listening to any podcasts? Is there anything, if you were to choose, a couple of inspired texts to share with listeners, what would those be?
Yeah, so I really love the book, but this is from Kundalini Yoga, and the book is Meditation as Medicine. from Dharma Singh. And this is a really great book. It has meditations for each chakra. And I also really believe that meditation is medicine. And then there is this book from Matt Licata, and it's about, I don't know what the English title is, but I think it's a Space to Heal. And it really describes the process in a period of grief or a healing process, how you can work with feelings and emotions and actually giving it space to heal by allowing it. But then it's very beautifully written.
Well, thank you for sharing those. I will definitely take a look. What question do you wish I'd asked you? What have I not covered? What do you wish I'd asked you that I hadn't asked?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you covered a lot. Yeah, you also mentioned Joe Dispenza. I also find this really, really interesting. And he also has this great book, Becoming Supernatural. I also love the work of Bruce Lipton. And also when I read a little bit more about these subjects, and then it always reminds me of Kundalini yoga and how it is there, like ingrained into the practice.
It's such a good vehicle, isn't it, Kundalini, to be able to pull on all of these different modalities. It's a framework that's so accessible for people to connect into that, to their soul, their wisdom, spirit.
Yeah, it is. And it's actually one of the oldest forms of yoga. It's stemming from the tantric practices. And so there are some things about people that brought the Kundalini yoga into the world, but I see it separately as it is, just pure as the ancient practice.
And Priscilla, where can people find you if listeners want to learn more about your work, your retreats, your facilitation? How can they find you?
They can find me on my website, which is kundalinirising.nl.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I have really loved our conversation, and I can say firsthand, having worked with you personally has been such a joy. And you really do hold such a safe and loving space. So thank you for sharing your wisdom today. I really appreciate your time.
Wow, thank you so much, Claire.
Thank you. You've been listening to the Psychedelic Couch. For more episodes, please follow me on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts, and find me on Instagram at Claire Faulkner Therapy, where I will be keeping you up to date on the latest episodes and information surrounding all things therapy, psychedelics, and expanded states.